Welcome to App Design Tips. Today I want to show you an exciting feature that Adobe XD announced, and that is responsive resizing for artboards and elements. Now, rather than taking the same approach as other design tools with setting constraints for specific elements, Adobe tries to make this automatic by guessing where these elements are going to fix within your artboard. Now, I find this does a really good job, and it takes care of about 90 to 95% of your design, and then all you have to do is pick those few elements and set some manual controls or tweak some things to get that to constrain correctly. So I can explain this a lot better using a design that I have on screen here, so let's get started. Now we're going to be working with these two artboards here, and these artboards were created before the responsive resize was even a thing. So I haven't done any work on this yet, and we can take a look at this dark message conversation, and if I try to resize this here, it behaves how you might expect in previous versions, but we can see this new section here, responsive resize. So as soon as we toggle that on, all we have to do is resize, and it takes care of almost everything. Everything looks really good. Diane Tucker is centered. There's a few things that are out of line here, and I want to talk about those. So let's zoom in. And the first thing you might notice is when I try to resize this, then the notifications bar doesn't resize. And that's because right now symbols aren't responsive, and that's something that Adobe is going to be announcing in the future. So look for that for the future. But if I right click here, and I go to ungroup symbol, all I have to do is ungroup that symbol, and now we have all of that being responsive. But there's one outlier here. This doesn't quite know what to do, so all I have to do is click on those elements, and maybe if I group them together, it'll be a little bit smarter. So I haven't even set constraints yet, and it's becoming really smart on how that resizes. Another thing that I might notice is here where it says write your message. That's starting to stretch in a way that I don't want. So I could group it with this clipboard, or I can go in here and override just this one symbol to manual. And I'm just going to have this fixed on the left side with a fixed width and height. So now that's just a few short clicks, and we have this thing just working beautifully. So now we can just hold down Option and resize this. And let's say that we want to use a 712 artboard by 1024, and we can see that that does a really good job with resizing. And again, I'm going to undo this real quick. And here, if I want to, I can hit manual for this group, and I can fix this to the top now instead of the bottom. And now I'm going to come back down here, and that resizes very beautifully. Now that's responsive resizing for Adobe XD. And I'm going to zoom out here and go over to this one now, and let's see how this one works. So again, nothing's going to happen if I try to resize. So I can go over here to responsive resize, and now when I do that, everything works beautifully except for this big circle here and also this notification bar, because this is still a symbol. So I'm going to just right click and ungroup this symbol, and then remember, we still want to select these guys and group them so that that behaves appropriately. So you can click on this circle here and double click into this time folder, and you could toggle this to manual, and you can set a fixed width and height and just make it constrained on the top. You can do a few clicks like that and it'll start to work. But if I undo all that, let's go back to auto here, and I want to keep this auto, but I see that it's grouped in this whole element. So it's grouped in this content window. I'm just going to cut that out of that group and just paste that into its own group, and it's still an auto. I haven't set any constraints. And once you start to learn how Adobe is resizing these different things, you can kind of group your designs appropriately. And really, again, with just a few clicks, we have everything completely responsive, looking really good. And it's really just amazing to work with. This will save you hours and hours of trying to design different sizes of artboards. Now, this is just the start of responsive design, and I think in the future this is just going to get better and better over time. Now, I'm going to be attending Adobe Max next month, and I'm really excited to see the new features that Adobe XD is going to announce there. And I'm guessing that's where we're going to start to see responsive symbols and things like that as well. Now, one thing I'm really hoping for is expanded symbol overrides, the ability to change colors of a symbol and have it not be dependent on the master symbol. Things like that I think will really help out. So I'm really excited to see maybe what they do with that, how they can solve that problem for us as designers. Because I know right now if I want to change any symbol and give it some special treatment, I have to break apart that symbol, and it loses the smartness of that symbol. So I think they're going to be talking about some ways to overcome that. And I really think the whole approach of the Adobe XD team is to try to figure out what Adobe XD can do for you to help you out, whether it's automated tools to get you 80, 90, 95% of the way there, where you can make a few changes and it's looking really good. I think they're doing a really good job at trying to get some of those cumbersome things out of the way and really help you become a better designer. Now, I'll be talking about the new features that are announced at Adobe Max, so if you want to stay updated, please subscribe and hit that bell icon for future videos.